TLO, what's poppin'? We are on Twitch. We are live. By the time you see this, we won't be, man. So just leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells. Let's continue to grow the family from Chicago to the UK. Right behind me, man. This is where we put highlights and things of that nature, but I doubt it. You could just go on Twitch and rewatch the entire live if that's the case. Don't forget, we got merch. We also got Patreon. We just uploaded Derek. Matter of fact, that Derek episode got me. Made a tear drop. I almost ugly cried. Full effect. It was touching. Let's not talk about it. Anyway, all of that is in the description below, man. This is Vice. Inside New Zealand's meth explosion. I feel like there's a lot of people on METH out here in Florida. If you off that, you got to be a wild person. What was the gateway? Who introduced you to that? How do you even ingest that? How do you even do, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get into it. I don't even know nothing about it, so I act like I know what I seen, but all I know is Walter White. Sinaloa, Mexico. Of course, that's where we start. It's like number one right there. Sinaloa Cartel, isn't that one of them? I don't know. Let me not even speak on it.
Sinaloa está plagado de laboratorios en toda la sierra. Estamos en lo que viene siendo o lo que le llaman
laboratorio
bajo los árboles donde se trabaja de noche porque en el día hay más vigilancia. Rápidamente con el brillo de un traje que traigan los muchachos o pues ya te ponen atención de arriba y rápidamente pues te puede caer lo que viene siendo soldados o marina y te destruyen el laboratorio. Puede explotar, se usan líquidos y químicos sumamente peligrosos. Una explosión pues puede dañar a una persona, puede matar a una persona.
That's how one of my boys died. He was in the trap doing some things and it exploded. R.I.P.
Es muy tóxico, sí, te puedes intoxicar y tienes que ir al seguro que te pongan sueros.
Like it was like this, it was bubbling up and he didn't have his mask on because somebody else was doing it. He just ran in there real quick because it smelled wrong. So he was trying to make an adjustment and he smelled it. He fainted and hit his head. It was knocked out. And then, like, he woke up, he was good. He had the pot had exploded. It was a glass pot, it exploded. They took all the stuff out of his face. But instead of going to the hospital, they let that man fall asleep. And never woke up.
Porque te desmaya, te deja sin aliento, te ataca por la respiración.
Sí.
Te sigue saliendo humo. Te tiene que enfriar todo. Ahorita ya terminamos, tenemos alrededor de 25 kilos y ya terminando el proceso que estábamos haciendo ahorita, van a ser otros 25 kilos.
The Sinaloa are Mexico's most ruthless and powerful drug cartel. They've been trafficking tons of meth to America for years, but they are now targeting a far more lucrative market on the other side of the world.
Aquí en Sinaloa un kilo de cristal nos cuesta $1,500. En Estados Unidos el kilo te viene saliendo en 4,000. O sea, a nosotros no nos sale mandar este producto por Estados Unidos. En Nueva Zelanda lo estamos vendiendo, tenemos un cliente de 40.
Jeez. 45? And it's only 15 for y'all? Oh, man, what? Man, New Zealand got money to blow. What?
$1,000 el kilo, yo te doy $45,000 el kilo. En eso lo estamos vendiendo. Pues Pues el mercado de Nueva Zelanda para nosotros es muy importante.
Obviously.
Una batidita leve. Y darle una vueltecita para que quede más cuajada ya. Está colando muy bien. Está cuajando. El año pasado intentamos llevar en un barco, subimos lo que es una tonelada, 1000 kilos de cristal y fueron incautados al llegar, al pasar por... Fueron incautados y ya decidimos solamente mandar de poco material, pero que sea más seguro.
They send it
To
by plane,
outwit
right?
and overwhelm New Zealand customs, the Sinaloa now traffic hundreds of smaller packages of meth on a regular basis.
Ya quedó listo. Qué bonito, quedó blanco. A empacar los kilos de cristal terminado que se va a ir para Nueva Zelanda. Lo vamos a poner en bolsas.
I will never understand how Vice gets this type of access and why people let Vice get this type of access. Why would they let Vice record? Like, it don't even make sense.
Papel aluminio en playa.
Maximising profit is key to the Sinaloa's global expansion. A kilo of meth in New Zealand wholesales 10 times higher than the American market.
Literally,
it's so
10.
lucrative, the Sinaloa have pioneered a new global trafficking route, smuggling their products 7,000 miles across the Pacific to New Zealand.
Oh man, I know Australia is in a chokehold because it's right there.
The Sinaloa drug cartel, they're really, really everywhere. They're one of the most powerful organized crime gangs on earth.
Facts, they're in Chicago heavy.
They've murdered so many people. They've left so many bodies. Everybody who does anything against them is dead. A group like the Sinaloa would always be on the lookout for new markets. They're bringing meth, sure, but they're bringing a way of life that's associated with meth. So that will be ultimately really, really bad for the society in New Zealand.
That's a fact. A meth head is probably one of the most annoying customers that you could probably have.
The Sinaloa is powerful because it operates across so many frontiers. It's a virus that once inside the country will just grow and affect more and more people and more walks of life, and more people will suffer.
Did you know that you can...
I didn't, sir, and I don't want to know from you.
The influx of meth is wreaking havoc in my home country. I want to find out how this drug is changing the face of New Zealand.
She from New Zealand? What's her name?
I want to
Orina Kepara.
find out how this drug is changing the face of New Zealand.
I know that's like a traditional tattoo right there. It's kind of...
I've come to meet a street dealer and some users.
Glass. My bad.
Can I ask you where this...
Bro got the ears. I'm too privileged to have this on. I need to hear. I can't hear with the mask on. That is funny. Glass is still on and that's hilarious. Fix the mouthpiece. All right.
Can I ask you where does this product come from?
You can ask, but I'm not going to tell you.
Who is using meth? What type of people?
Everyone. Yeah. Every class is on it. Some people who are poor as, they'll use everything they've got.
There's lawyers, there's doctors, there's businessmen, and I'm talking like hundreds of millions of dollars businessmen. There's people that will be in court defending people today who have had a puff this morning. There will be, I know that. Politicians that...
He's not lying, but I ain't never seen a functional drug addict, like not meth head. Like a functional meth head. I've seen a functional, like, cocaine. I've seen a functional person that does that. Like I've seen doctors, I've seen police officers, I've seen dentists, I've seen it all. But this is a little bit different, ain't it?
I've been in the same room with him at the same time. I can't name you a class of people or a particular profession that's immune. I don't know one. There isn't one.
No.
It's throughout New Zealand society.
Gangs pushing the drug around, like we've been seeing or hearing about in the media?
Well, they claim not to be, but whatever each individual gang member does is what they're going to do.
The gangs are involved at a wholesale level.
I wouldn't mention names, but you know who's running the show.
They claim a vicious turf war is taking place amongst New Zealand's gangs to control meth distribution.
Oh, man.
Gangs are growing at the fastest rate since the 1970s. It's thought the huge profits being made from methamphetamine is behind the leap in numbers.
Have you had any bad experiences?
I've been stabbed in the stomach, legs, arms, neck, twice, head, face, everywhere pretty much. But it's not going to stop me, it's no deterrent. I'll always be a method.
You were stabbed?
Mm-hmm. Involved a knife and, yeah.
The mongrel mob and Black Power are...
Okay, I got a video that's currently doing good numbers where we did the war against them or something. I don't even know exactly what it was, but both of these was in there. But imagine pulling up and these is your ops and they already dressed like this and then they get to doing this. At that point, I'm good. I don't want no smoke. Y'all different. I'm good.
The mongrel mob and Black Power are New Zealand's largest and most powerful gangs. Both have a fearsome reputation for violence and both have hundreds of foot soldiers. They've been fighting over territory for decades. But now, the billions to be made from the meth trade has ignited a powder keg.
A series of killings involving the mongrel mob.
A powder keg.
Yeah, first of all, the way she said decades, I thought she was calling me a name or something, things of that nature. But what was he going to do against the car?
Now, the billions to be made from the meth trade has ignited...
Bro, move. You're not going to lift the car.
A powder keg.
A series of killings involving the mongrel mob are being described as gang warfare.
I have family and friends living in areas affected by the violence. One of the most notorious leaders has agreed to meet me.
I'm going to meet the leader of the Waikato Mongrel Mob chapter. His name is Sonny Fatu. The Mongrel Mob are one of the original gangs here in New Zealand. Ever since the start of the Mongrel Mob and the Black Power here in New Zealand, those two gangs have been rival gangs and have been involved in some really gruesome, violent attacks.
Yeah, I heard they were hyper violent from the last one I watched.
Stabbings, the works. Sonny himself, he's served many years in prison. He was involved in torturing a person. So we're just about to pull up. Right now,
nice.
I believe it is one of these buildings.
Sonny set up his own wing of the mongrel mob in 2013.
I'm feeling right now a little nervous, if I'm honest.
How did the neighbors feel? The neighbors cool? The whole block mongrel? Vice, y'all gotta chill.
Either surveillance, I just have that. Either...
Oh, New Balances? Cause he comfortable with it.
Surveillance. I just have to ask that.
We've had the experience, one of our brothers here, who have had a shooting at his place, and it was a nasty shooting. So we have to protect the people from in here to what's going on out there. We may seem like we're civilized here, but you know, we're gangsters. At the end of the day, we just know how to control our anger.
Sonny claims the shooting is not drug-related, but...
Man, I like Sonny. He's not fighting what he is. He said, you know, we're gangsters. It's not an organization. This is not a community. We are gangsters.
happened during a burglary of a gang member's home. He maintains he's totally opposed to the meth trade.
Well, I don't like it. I didn't do it. I didn't sell it. The damages, the family coming in. Dad's this, mum's that. We haven't got food. We're getting abused, whatever. I don't like it. And I must say that, you know, I took some hard lines, you know, where I got myself involved in the drug world.
In what way?
In those days, it was just marijuana, really the drug of choice. It was never about making money.
Sonny claims he carries out drug tests on his 600-strong gang to enforce his zero tolerance on meth.
How I lead
Yeah,
is...
no, that's a fact. You can't have a meth head that's in the organization strung out. You know what I'm saying? It's bad for business.
I tell people what I'm doing. I just do what I have to do for the betterment of our people.
What's the beef between the Black Power and the Mongol mob? Why so much rivalry for so long?
Probably started over a female.
Could you just hold up for a minute?
Yeah.
Just want to know, is that the police? They might be coming to see because of the shooting that happened at his house. It's a nasty one. The investigation is still going. So they give him an update.
Oh, okay.
You know, they know who it is.
Wow.
Oh, we live a gangster life.
Yeah. The Black Power and the Mongol mob, where does that come from, the hate towards one another?
It was all about just protecting your brotherhood, protecting your circle. On top of all that was all the oppression that came on from society, you know, from the system. We had one of our members, unfortunately, who was killed in Wanganui.
Who was he killed by?
Well, he was killed by the opposition. He was killed by the Black Power. When is it ever going to stop?
Have you ever killed a person?
I haven't killed anybody with my hands. You know, I've given a few people a few facelifts just because they, you know, wanted to bring it on.
It's a good answer, Sonny. Good answer, Sonny.
So I did what I had to do. This is why I feel now that I got nothing to prove.
You said there's Crips in Auckland, New Zealand? That's what the chat said. That's tough.
I got nothing to prove. You know, in terms of getting out there and showing people who I am in terms of being the bad ass. They muck me around. All I want to do now is I just want to heal our people now.
Sonny maintains he's turned his back on violence and drugs, but other members of the Mongol mob are involved in a power struggle to control the meth trade. In March 2020, a young Mongol mob member fired several rounds at the police in the town of Gawiro. In 2017, a fistfight involving the two gangs turned into a gunfight. The same year in the town of Whakatane, shots were fired and
No disrespect, but what happened? Whatever happened to a hearse? Is that the casket in the back of a pickup truck? Tradition. I get it.
The same year in the town of Whakatane, shots were fired and violence erupted after a funeral procession of a Mongol mob leader tried to pass through territory controlled by the Black Power gang.
I was actually
That blicked down the funeral procession?
in Whakatane, but shortly after, my grandparents brought me to Auckland and raised me in total immersion Māori education. So in a sense, I know I'm really lucky because a lot of my family members who stayed back home either ended up in gangs or affiliated to them.
I know the tattoos is just like a cultural thing, but I ain't gonna lie, you looking pretty gangster. You look like all you gotta do is put a little bit of red on and you know what I'm saying? You with the gang.
What's worse is that in 2020, gang violence, shootings, and meth use, it's all spiralling out of control, especially in Whakatane.
I've come to meet the Black Power gang in Whakatane. TK White inherited the leadership when his father passed away in 2019.
I will say this.
They bury their own members and they, where is this at?
I didn't get along with the man one bit. No, wakato. So two double murderer.
He's a double murderer.
I went to jail twice for that. That's the background of the man. That's the background he came from. Before he was actually on his way to jail the last time, he said, I see two pathways in front of you. One is good, one is bad. Both will make you great. I hope you take the good one.
Today, a new member is joining Black Power. This is the first time
He
they've
got on a suit jacket with the thing over it.
allowed TV cameras to film one of their initiations.
So we're at Ohine Matarua River, which is in Whakatane, and we're about to undergo a special ceremony, which is a traditional karakia or prayer service, and it's part of a rite of passage, I think, for the members of this group.
Yeah, the gang culture is super different. Bro is about 52 joining a gang.
TK, Te Kuru White, is taking it, so I've been roped into it. I was not expecting to be a part of it, but I am.
You're one of the members now.
Going to get in the river in my shorts, and it is spring, it is cold, but it's okay. This is what we've got to do, so here we go. Follow me.
See, you are a gang member. You getting initiated right now. He's finna baptize you into this.
Kirungaki wēnei tauira, kia te mai te mauri kirungaki wēnei tama. E tuku nau ki te whai ora tōne te wai ora. Te nei te matatau kia ka wakatū tārawa ki te rangi uhi. Wēra tau mai te mauri o haumi e. Hui ai!
You are being initiated. Ma'am!
In Māori culture, water is viewed as the essence of life. Rivers connect you to your ancestors, the tribal lands they once owned, and traditional values they held.
If he is getting initiated and he's going through the same, and she's doing the same things he's doing, ain't she getting initiated too?
So very fortunate today.
That was beautiful.
For me, it's a way to reconnect with my family history in the area I left as a child.
She is a Black Power member.
No, I'm not patched in. I'm not Black Power. Let's make that very clear.
No, ma'am. We all watched it. You are.
But I am Māori, so what just happened there is not necessarily a gang thing. It's Māori culture. In its purest and truest form.
You BP.
And yes, I'm wet, but that's okay.
Now they finna go cook.
This is our hangi. This is our traditional cooking method. Our ancestors would sometimes cook the enemies. It wasn't about cannibalism, it was about being able to absorb their energy. The hole is covered with dirt, so you've got an underground pressure cooker.
If it's not cooked, cover it up and go to KFC and
Many Māori joined gangs in the 1970s seeking safety in numbers after suffering years of racial discrimination and poverty.
30 years ago, I had nowhere to go. The culture then was
That's how a lot of Chicago gangs were formed.
We were gangsters then. We're gangsters now, but not as ruthless as we were before.
Do you get into fights?
Heaps. Lost more fights than I won. You know, actually made me stronger. These guys here, they taught me how to survive. You know, it wasn't all about just gang warfare, drugs in those days.
Did you sell drugs?
Yep. Marijuana. That's all we had there, was marijuana. Not the shit they got now.
Not all drug dealers are gang members and not all gang members are drug dealers. I mean, I've been there, done that. It's water under the bridge now, you know. So I've gone on the other side there, and I'm the one that's going to point you away from the harms of meth.
How do you both feel about methamphetamine?
It's destroying our families.
So it's destroying our community.
Our community.
A lot of our generation are all dying as a result.
So neither side is neither side is allegedly not supplying it. Neither side is supplying it, but somehow it's getting out there.
And since 2014, we lost something like 10, 12, 18, 12 to meth. But it's how horrific the violence is.
There have been quite horrific stories come out of not just Whakatane, but across the Bay of Plenty in terms of what methamphetamine and how it's affecting.
Everything that's happened in, I'll say, like the last month here, have all been meth-related.
What's been happening here?
Well, you know, there's been a shootout. There was a shooting last week. People, you know, just looking for a fight.
Gang wars are no longer about local rivalry, but a vast interconnected web of criminal activity that spans the globe.
What the Sinaloa does very well is always team up with the local criminal gangs in New Zealand. You have these competing gangs, and suddenly you have someone bigger coming into the market and picking allies, right? When you look at the connections, it's not just one type of connection. It's multiple roles at the same time, and it's very, very fluid as well. And this is where feuds start and fights between organized crime groups, and you know, everybody wants a bit more, and that ignites these violent clashes. So this is not a world of peace, it's a world of conflict.
New Zealand's 1,200 customs officers have been overwhelmed by the influx of meth from Mexico in the last
1,200 custom officers. You don't think some of them is involved, getting paid as well? Got to.
years.
Try not to get run over.
So she a BP member, a customs officer, a vice journalist. You know what I'm saying?
I've been doing this job for 37 years and I never thought I would see quantities of drugs like this. It's mind-blowing. The Mexican drug cartels see New Zealand as the golden nugget. They're the most lucrative market and they're wanting to own that market. In the 1990s, 1 kilo of drugs was a really big seizure. Last year, we seized over a ton of methamphetamine. They are really sophisticated. If you can think about it, they've done it. We've seen methamphetamine mixed within concrete. We've seen methamphetamine in liquid form, impregnation in clothing, chemically altered so that it's not methamphetamine, but you add another chemical to it, that changes it back to drugs. So these guys are really clever. We just got to get smarter.
But like I say, man, this is one of those industries, like, if you get smarter, they just gonna get smarter. It's never gonna stop. They're not gonna stop trying to outsmart, and you're not gonna stop trying to catch up. It's just gonna continue.
This methamphetamine was concealed inside electric generators that weighed in excess of 250 kilos each. Once you knew how to get into them, it was quite easy. But getting them there was really difficult, figuring it out.
Yeah.
That there is quite dense, and that makes me to believe there may be drug concealment inside there.
What is that?
This is blocks of compressed methamphetamine. They came inside plastic stacking pallets. Each pallet had 80 of these concealments built into the pallet.
What?
Wow.
They don't come with an instruction manual that says, here's the drugs.
The Sinaloa cartel are not the only new international players in New Zealand's multi-million-dollar meth market.
Who else?
The traditional New Zealand adult gangs, which were Black Power, Mongrel Mob, they're being challenged with an influx of new gangs. So you've got Australian deportees. They are bringing the level of sophistication and tradecraft and connections that they've built up over many years. They're coming into New Zealand, setting up, and that's causing tension within the gang environment.
Yeah.
Business model, as I understand it, is to undercut other gangs, use extreme violence.
Yeah. That's how the business world in general is set up there. Except the violence part, undercut. Maybe even that part.
Australia's tough new laws mean that hundreds of Kiwis are being deported. All non-citizens who fail a character test are sent home.
Character test?
There was an altercation in the compounds. People were stabbed, and it was between Islanders and Iranians. And I think there was 7 people stabbed in the neck and in the back. Shit's kicking off here. People on edge.
A detainee called Josh has emailed me a video from inside an Australian deportation centre.
People on edge, and they're starting to turn into race wars. I mean, this is way worse than prison. Like, shit. I don't think I've ever seen 7 people get stabbed. It's a powder keg and it's about to erupt.
These videos haven't seen the light of day, and I'm a journalist in New Zealand. This is gold. It's very rare to get evidence from inside a deportation centre.
Her lips tatted too?
I'm interested to learn more about what just went down there.
29-year-old Josh left New Zealand for Australia aged...
Bro, 29?
29-year-old Josh left New Zealand for Australia aged 2 and hasn't been back since. He served 8 years in prison for assaulting a drug dealer. He claims he wants to go straight, but is now surrounded by biker gangs in an immigration centre as he waits to be deported to New Zealand.
Search warrant, over the door! Over the door now! Go, get on the ground, get on the ground, get on the ground!
The Australian police has been cracking down on these biker gangs who have well-established global connections in the meth trade. Since 2015, Section 501 of the Migration Act means any non-citizens accused of engaging in criminal activity can be deported. Thousands of 501s have been sent back to New Zealand.
My bad, I was muted. Is this a jail or is this a deportation center? Nice.
The 501s have been sent back to New Zealand.
In the case of Australia, they are dumping their crime problem to New Zealand, and it's a short-term solution that's going to bring a longer-term problem. Organized crime is, unfortunately, very often the first to offer a way out. By deporting people who've committed crimes, you're just exporting crime. You're creating a bigger problem because now these people know how to set up a network. They will keep on growing their networks and they will enlist new soldiers. So you don't dismantle a network in that way. You actually create a network in that way. Some of the most successful criminals, are criminals who get deported from place to place. You're creating a bigger problem for New Zealand.
24 hours later, I've managed to reach Josh inside the deportation centre in Perth, Western Australia.
Here we go.
Hello, Josh.
Kia ora. Kia ora. How are you?
I've been in segregation for the last 16 weeks now, I think.
Have you got caught up in any sort of scuffles or violence? Have people attacked you while you've been in there?
People that have attacked me in here, the people that are supposed to look after us in here, which is the officers. I've been subject to brutality, excessive force. As I came out of the mess, they blocked off the exit gate, and I was kind of like, what's going on here? And then the officers approached me and they said, oh, you got to come with us. So I'm like, hang on, man, tell me what I've done wrong. And then, before I knew it, riot officers with shields and riot gear on, padded armour and stuff, rushed into me, detained me, dragged me out this side gate.
Nah, Josh G. Hey, listen, I believe you, but like, there's gotta be a little more to this story. You gotta have done something. They treating you like you top dog in this.
They dropped me on my face on the ground. I remember hearing one of them say, oh, he's got a knife. I had no knife. So then I was accompanied down to the segregation where you go for 23-hour lockdown. And then they dived on me, kneeing me in the back, elbows in my back of my head. They almost broke my back pretty much.
Did anyone get reprimanded for that?
I tried to put in a complaint. We just can't win against these guys. Because I've lashed out a few times towards staff, and because of the severity of the crimes where I went to prison in the first place, they deem me a high risk.
Can we talk about who you are leaving behind there in Western Australia?
I'm leaving behind my father, my mother, both my grandparents on both sides, and the most important one, my wife. But I'm more scared about joining a gang and then me having nothing but friends that I've met in detention. That is my main concern. It's a high-risk situation.
The Australian Border Force
I tell you, man, people be going to jail or places like this. They can only get worse sometimes. And he's scared of getting worse, is what it sounds like.
Not comment on Josh's case, but say they have stringent reporting requirements and oversight to ensure force is not used arbitrarily or illegally. They are committed to ensuring good order and that detention centres are safe. Josh wants to avoid gang life, but an estimated 40% of 501s sent back to New Zealand end up committing crimes.
If you have an hour this week, you can learn 100 songs.
I don't.
Members of the outlaw biker gangs deported from Australia are setting up shop in New Zealand and growing in power as they recruit more and more 501s. According to the FBI, the Bandidos, one of the top 4 bike gangs in the world, is involved in drug and firearms trafficking. They established gangs in the world is involved in drug.
They got the Pums, they got the 38s, they got the 1911s, they got the Glocks, they got the Uzi. They got it. They got some 50 cals down here too. They got it all. M1911A, that's what that is. 1911. This one. M1911A5.
Drug and firearms trafficking. They established a wing in New Zealand in 2016.
I like 1911s.
So I've managed to track down the former president of the notorious Bandidos gang, Hamish Hiroki. He's one of the very few senior members to have left the gang world.
Hamish was deported from Australia for gun charges several years ago, but claims the new arrivals are far more violent.
We never had this much of a problem until the 501s started coming back. Yeah.
What does he do for work now? Is one of the best questions that you could ask, because I'm curious. Bro got a whole beard of tattoos.
Yeah, we still had gangs, but the scale of things now is huge. Like, there's more drugs in New Zealand.
There's a huge meth problem.
A huge meth problem. Since the 501s have been sent home, things have really escalated because they've been sent back from Australia and they're bringing all their connections here. It's all one big dick measuring comp. Who has the most cars? Who has the most gold? Who has the most drugs?
What do we have now in terms of the scale?
A massive problem. Massive problem here in New Zealand. The 501s are signing on with gangs because they have nothing else. So you can't blame them. With the clubs and the gangs, when you do sign on, they will look after you at the start. You are sold a dream just to get guys purely to sign on. You know, girls, cars, gold, bikes, you know.
As a lure.
Dangling a carrot, you know, to less fortunate guys.
Leaving the notorious banditos and breaking the gang's code of silence means Hamish is now a marked man.
Us standing here, are we at risk right now?
Potentially, yeah. It's quite serious.
Yeah. What could happen?
You ain't got it on you?
Could quite possibly get shot, could get jumped. You know, there's a number of things, that could happen. I have a lot of enemies around. Yeah.
He got his old ops to worry about. He got his old gang to worry about.
Somebody sort of drove past and put 3 shotgun shells through the front window. It was just to say we're a pain in the ass and we pretty much shut your shop down. Shootings all the time. There was a fellow who got shot in the head not so long ago. We heard nothing about that. Stuff happens all the time.
Every day.
Yep. Some of these guys are ruthless, looking to earn their colours. They'll smash down the door. They don't care who's inside it.
80 police simultaneously raided 10 properties across Auckland linked to the fledgling gang. Police came away with...
Ooh. I ain't gonna lie, this thing clean. That's clean.
Guns, cars and cash and made...
That is clean as well.
...a host of arrests.
It's the arrival of a new 501 gang called the Comancheros that has recently led to a brutal turf war. With connections to Mexican cartels, the police fear they could flood New Zealand with cheaper meth.
Wow.
They've already enforced a very Mexican style of justice, assassinating a rival. I've come to meet Jared Savage, crime reporter for the New Zealand Herald. He's been investigating gangs for decades.
You gotta work on that pronunciation of that word. That's crazy. She said it again. Say it one more time.
The New Zealand Herald. He's been investigating gangs for decades.
The introduction of a new player.
How many dickheads?
Players, like the Comancheros, has definitely disrupted things. They've been quite bold and brash. There's been an increase in violence, particularly firearms violence. And I think that's something that we'll see a lot more of in the future as well.
That's actually quite a scary thought.
This might sound crazy.
Nope. Mute. Can't hear it. Don't want to hear it if it sounds too crazy, my boy.
No one really knew that we were here publicly. So these are the first photographs here of the boys basically announcing their presence. Pretty flash bikes, gold-plated Harley. So it's quite a statement.
All right, now we're on the bottom floor. This is my Versace rack here. Everyone trying to say I'm wearing fake Versace.
They're using social media to market their wealth. They're not hiding it. It could be, like a recruitment tool. Look at me, if you want to have this sort of life, you can have it too.
A grisly scene awaited emergency services early this morning, triggering an armed lockdown and a full-scale forensic search.
The Comancheros' social media recruitment strategy had devastating consequences in 2018 when new wannabe member Viliami Tani carried out a gangland killing on a man called Epelehame Tu'uheava.
This photo eerily posted online just hours before Epelehame Tu'uheava was shot in the head, a killing with hallmarks of an
He wasn't a wannabe then. He was stepping. He was involved. He wasn't a wannabe. Go back.
When new wannabe member Viliami Tani carried out a gangland killing on a man called Epelehame Tu'uheava.
This photo,
I guess they don't know what a wannabe is.
Eerily posted online just hours before Epelehame Tu'uheava was shot in the head, a killing with hallmarks of an execution.
I think Abraham was shot 7 times. His wife, point blank. His wife was shot in the head twice. She survived, and in fact, her evidence was basically.
But it took her body.
Crucial to getting the convictions against Tani. Amazing that she survived. They were basically lured to a pretty quiet street in South Auckland on the premise that Abraham would buy drugs. He had $63,000 in the back of his car, and that he would be buying methamphetamine from Tani. He had a distribution network in the South Island. This was a targeted assassination. This was taken a few days after the murder, and the police were following the suspects. So
all these dudes is big. I ain't seen a skinny gang member yet in New Zealand. That's tough.
We can see here that basically they're going to be rewarding one of the younger guys involved in the murder, kind of promoting him from being like a hanger-on or an associate of the gang to an actual prospect. They were a new gang here, so they had a reputation for ruthlessness in Australia, and I think it's sort of seen as them putting a stake in the ground. This is what we're about.
With connections to Mexican cartels, the police feared the Comancheros could take up a dominant position in New Zealand's meth market.
The allegation is that the methamphetamine coming from Mexico was being sold a lot cheaper. So undercutting, so you get a kilo of meth in Mexico for $1,000, sell it here for $120,000. That's still a massive markup.
Crazy markup.
An associate of the Comancheros has already been sentenced to 16 years for importing kilos of meth from Mexico. We've secured access to film the trial of the leader of the Comancheros, Pasilika Nafahu.
Now, the success of the group brought a lovely house, a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, ostentatiously designed motorcycles.
Several of Pasilika's gang have all...
Hey Siri, what is ostentatiously? Oh, flashy, like showy or flashy. Okay. Could have just said that.
Already been found.
Motorcycles.
Several of Pasilika's gang have already been found guilty of laundering $3.7 million collectively.
Pasilika Nafahu arrived from Australia in early 2016, and from that point he commenced a lifestyle to enjoy the benefits that flowed from a whole series of criminal offences, and the links that various members of the group had to drug dealing, including drugs in large quantities.
Pasilika is found guilty of money laundering and conspiring to import a precursor of meth from Australia. The Australian biker gangs like the Comancheros are intensifying the gang scene in New Zealand. Sonny Fatu claims he's spent years trying to reform the mongrel mob, recently opening his doors to female members. But after members of his own family joined the Comancheros, he's formed an uneasy alliance with a gang he once called a foreign invader.
So when it's beneficial for him to do so, he formed an alliance, he said? That's what they said?
Can you shed light on what your personal connections are to the Comanchero?
Well, my personal connections are my son and my brother being members of the Comanchero. And I feel that it's a good thing because I know that they'll do good there. I know that they'll be able to share with them leadership qualities and prowess. Gangs are never going to go away. Let's get that right. You'll always view it the way you've always done it. You'll always see what you've always got. For you to have something you never had before, try something you've never done before.
Talked about it.
Weeks after we finished filming, several of Sonny's gang were arrested for firearm charges and drug offences, including meth importation.
Oh, wow.
Sonny strongly condemned the actions. 501 deportee Josh has arrived in Auckland and has already been tied up as a potential new recruit.
what's
Josh, the only
stood
skinny
out
member.
to you over the last couple of days since you've been back?
Well, just speaking to people on the street in Auckland, seeing a lot of gangs walking around,
Yeah?
trying to talk to us, talk to me and some of the other boys, find out who we are. I think the first question that I get hit with straight away from someone who looks like they're in a gang or something would be, where are you from?
Yeah.
And we'd never seen you around here. And then they ask if I've got any drugs for sale.
What?
I know a lot of guys that have already come back might be involved in some of that stuff. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know. There's always people trying to suss us out. Yeah, especially the youth.
Josh feels he has to escape Auckland to escape the gangs.
So you're off
Where are you gonna go?
Napier today?
Yeah, fly at 4:30. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, okay.
See my cousin for first time in a long time. See her kids. I've never met her kids before.
Oh, wow.
So, like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Knowing that I've got that support makes me feel more comfortable too, you know?
Yeah. It's actually been cool meeting up with you in person.
You too.
And
They on a date or what? What's going on? They're taking a long walk on the beach, you know what I'm saying? Getting to know each other, that's tough.
wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
W date. Oh, okay.
The meth trade in New Zealand and Australia is now worth $11 billion a year. The Sinaloa cartel and the Australian biker gangs are not just importing meth, but shootings, kidnap and assassinations. Extremes of violence New Zealand has never experienced before. The traditional gangs are struggling to protect their turf. I've come back to meet TK White.
Here we go. We are here now.
These the homies? You cool with them, right?
To counter the threat of the outlaw Australian
she
biker
cool.
gangs,
She one of
after
them- she a
decades
member.
of war, Black Power and the Mungle Mob have formed biker gangs. After decades of war, Black Power and the Mungle Mob have formed an historic alliance.
Here you have us, our club, and on the other side is the Mongol Mob. There's a term they call it dispute resolution. This is how we do it, utilising our tikonga and our kawa to guide the process.
In terms of resolving disputes or issues between Black Power and Mungle Mob before, how was it done? Was it ever done?
Not like that.
When you put the rako down, is that a symbol of no
That's
warfare?
him in the picture. That's what we're pretty much saying without saying it. We're showcasing Makwato.
Guns down,
Guns down.
Yeah, weapons down.
Yeah, that's a symbol of peace.
Okay. Skip.
We all a symbol of peace. It's not going to happen overnight. We all individuals. We're not perfect, and we understand that our history is quite a dark one. There are reasons for that, but that doesn't mean to say that we have to stay there. It's about helping the brother, the sister, understand that their destiny lay in their own hands, and at the end of the day, only they will be able to determine what their destiny and their future looks like. Black Power movement, as I said, isn't defined by a patch. It's a way of life.
So like a true member.
Māori have faced threats from outsiders before. Colonialism and decades of racism caused irreparable damage to our way of life. TK tells us he's offering the younger generation a way out of meth. He's using his ancestors' land to build a school and community centre.
It was originally gifted to me by one of my beautiful aunties. This place is going to be utilised to build our dreams and our vision so that we're able to learn and teach in our own space and safely, using it as the vehicle to pretty much decolonize ourselves.
I don't think that's a good idea.
For me, like meeting and being with TK and his family
It's a beautiful
is
spot.
a really, really humbling reminder of who we are essentially as Māori people. We live together, you know, we go through the pain, we journey together. Methamphetamine clearly is pulling people away from one another. But if you've got family who believe in you, who love you that much, that they won't turn their backs on you, that's the key.
It's hard to undo decades of war, death, annihilation, you know, one day at a time. Because decades is crazy. It's a long time.
The New Zealand gangs and the Sinaloas, they might get along for a while, you know, but usually the Sinaloas will want more control. Once a large organized crime group like the Sinaloa sets their eyes on a target, they can inflict a lot of pain into a place like New Zealand.
Facts. All right, man, we got to be on the lookout for more of this because it can only get worse, man. Tell her, leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post. I'm gone.